Bienvenidas, bienvenidos a esta su casa, la Casa de México aquí en Alemania. ¿Sí se oye atrás? ¿Sí se oye? Excelente. Un aviso de seguridad, de protección civil. ¿El de celeste sí oye? Sí se oye, sí se escucha. Gracias. Protección civil, en caso de necesidad de emergencia, pues tenemos la salida aquí atrás de nosotros y por donde entramos, y hay una más allá al fondo. Mi nombre es Francisco Quiroga, soy el embajador de México aquí en Alemania y pues estamos muy de plácemes dándoles la bienvenida a toda nuestra comunidad mexicana, hispanoparlante y de otras nacionalidades que nos acompañan esta tarde. Incluso, por supuesto, a quienes nos acompañan a través de las redes sociales. Hoy este es un evento de nuestra Ventanilla de Asesoría Financiera. Ventanilla que ya va en su tercer año de operación y que cada vez se consolida como un referente para la comunidad mexicana hispanoparlante que busca proteger y expandir su patrimonio. Para nosotros es un gusto, es un honor reafirmar una vez más nuestra admiración y agradecimiento a Frau Enalia, particularmente a su directora Begoña de la Marta. Un aplauso para ella, por favor. Que se levante para que la conozcamos. Que es una pieza fundamental del motor que da vida y presencia a nuestra ventanilla. Hoy, además, es un privilegio hospedar en esta vez al First Friday Curated Network y reconocer también a su creador, Alejandro Wagner, por favor. Y al doctor Juan de Dios Ocampo, de High Rise Ventures, que no llegó. No, que ya no lo dejen entrar, por favor, ya aquí se cierren las puertas. Ambos integran el pool de personas expertas de nuestra ventanilla y la embajada de todos nosotros. El taller de hoy se enfoca a ese gran disruptor que es la inteligencia artificial. Espero que al final de esta jornada entendamos todos un poco mejor el impacto y las oportunidades que esta inteligencia artificial representa para todas aquellas personas que quieren emprender en Alemania. Nos alegra que sea en esta sede, en el centro de Europa, en que tengamos la oportunidad de recibirles y que expertas y expertos nos compartan información sobre este tema de tanta relevancia en la actualidad. Aquí en la embajada, como veremos más adelante, tenemos un par de esfuerzos por integrar estas herramientas de inteligencia artificial a nuestra labor diaria, con miras a promover los negocios, el emprendimiento y la integración de nuestra comunidad a este gran país. Gracias a la dedicación de funcionarios del Servicio Exterior mexicano, contamos hoy con 2 chatbots, uno para fomentar el comercio y emprendimiento y otro para acercar los servicios consulares en este país. Asimismo, estamos trabajando para incorporar chatbots de inteligencia artificial a temas de cooperación, becas, turismo y cultura. Tenemos hoy aquí a nuestro cónsul económico que ha sido el que ha desarrollado estos chatbots, que son pionero. No hay otra representación, ya sea de México o de otro país, que tenga esto. Oliver Contla, por favor, que te conozcan. Que con sus propios recursos intelectuales y financieros ha desarrollado este chatbot para beneficio, ya se presentó en Capital y ya ha recibido un gran reconocimiento internacionalmente y en México. Amigas, amigos, la Ventanilla de Asistencia Financiera es la más reciente iniciativa para atender las necesidades reales de nuestra comunidad. Ese es nuestro compromiso. Queremos estrechar los lazos, los vínculos de colaboración con las comunidades mexicanas e hispanoparlantes aquí en este país y hacer disponibles información y herramientas que nos permitan no solo sobrevivir en esta tierra tan maravillosa, tan generosa que nos recibe, sino prosperar y devolver a esta tierra algo de lo mucho que nos ha dado. Es un honor contar hoy con la presencia de un diverso grupo de emprendedores de muchas nacionalidades en la casa de todos los mexicanos, las mexicanas. Les deseamos que esta jornada sea de utilidad, que nos ofrezca un espacio de confianza y apertura y nos acerque información valiosa. Les reiteramos que el compromiso de la Embajada de México en Alemania es hacer cada vez más para apoyar a las mexicanas y mexicanos en este país. Muchas gracias. Disfruten la tarde.
Muchas gracias, embajador. Thank you so much, Herr Ambassador. Ahora le damos la bienvenida a Begoña de la Marta, quien nos va a dirigir unas palabras, quien es parte importante de este evento y de la Ventanilla de Asesoría Financiera. Muchas gracias.
Hola, buenas tardes. Good afternoon to everybody. I will switch to English. It's okay, so that everybody can understand. And first of all, I would like to thank Ambassador Francisco Quiroga and Ministro Erasmo Lara and the whole team, Karina, Enrique, and all the people who are making possible that we are celebrating one more year, the first Friday at the embassy. My name is Begoña de la Marta. I am the founder of Ventanilla, and Ventanilla is a social enterprise which is committed to achieve more diversity in our society and economy. And in order to reach that big vision, we work every day supporting women migrants on their way to the labor market in Germany, either as employee, as founder, or on the process of starting a new professional chapter. And that's why entrepreneurship plays a huge role in our company. And since 2018, we have a project which is called Ventanilla Hub, in which we offer an incubator as well as an accelerator program, in which we work and help women either to launch their business to the market or to help them on the first scaling process on their entrepreneurial journey. And since 2022, we have the big pleasure of being the local partner of the Embassy of Mexico for two great projects. One of them is VAF, Ventanilla de Asesoría Financiera. So in German, we would call it the Finanzberatungsstelle, in which we have, as I said, the pleasure to coordinate the project. And we built a pool of different experts, in which is Alejandro Wagner, Juan de Dios Ocampo, we don't know yet where he's, but he should be here anytime, and other experts from Horbach. I think there is a couple of, I don't know, I don't see you now, but we have also other colleagues from other finance advisory companies in Germany. And within the VAF, we offer twice in a month a digital Stammtisch, in which one of our experts brings a topic in the different areas in which they are experts. And Alejandro is one of the most motivated experts in the framework of the VAF and digital Stammtisch, and the last Wednesday of every month. So you have the pleasure to meet Alejandro with one of his talks. And apart from the VAF, there is a second project of the embassy, which is supporting Mexican female founders abroad. And I'm very much happy that some of them are here today. Even two of them live in Hamburg and took the train to take part of today's event, because we invited them, and we were very much sure that they will get a big value of today's event. And yeah, I'm very much happy, as I said, that one more year. I think it's the third year in a row that we have the pleasure to host within the VAF first Friday. And as Ambassador said, today we have a huge subject which is bombarding our lives every day with artificial intelligence. And I would like to thank Alejandro for inviting all the experts which will be with us today. And I would like as well to thank Juan, because he will be moderating the panel with different entrepreneurs who are already on the market using AI or in the area. So thank you very much, and I wish you great event and great networking afterward.
Muchas gracias, embajador. Gracias, Begoña. Buenas tardes a todas y a todos. Good afternoon. Mi nombre es Erasmo Lara, soy el encargado de la sección consular aquí en la embajada. Y queríamos aprovechar este espacio para ofrecer un par de puntos que creemos relevantes, no solo lo que menciona el embajador sobre el uso que damos a la inteligencia artificial. When one thinks of consular services, probably one thinks of, oh, I need a passport, or I need a document. But really for us, a consular service goes much further than that, beyond that. We attempt to have what we call integral consular services. And that, of course, includes supporting and promoting this type of events, this type of partnerships with Frau Enalia, with the pool of experts of the Ventanilla de Asesoría Financiera. We have, of course, our leitmotif is, of course, the Mexican community, but we do not rest in that framework. We have different tools, different electronic tools for supporting mainly the Spanish-speaking community in Germany in their integration processes. Talking about mental health, for example, talking about binational families and domestic violence, which is unfortunately a reality, talking about labor insertion, and of course, entrepreneurship. So we, as consuls, also try to go into this area, maybe for us a bit strange, and we may find it very, very novel. But I think it's important for you to take that into account when you talk about wanting to become an entrepreneur, wanting to have a business in Germany. We do have some tools that we can provide you and can help you in these important processes. This is what I wanted to say. I'm the consul here, I'm at your service, but I think what would be most interesting for you is to hear my colleague, Oliver Contla, as the ambassador mentioned, because he is the architect really, with his own resources, as the ambassador mentioned, that developed these tools, these artificial intelligence tools for commerce, entrepreneurship, and now for consular services. And this is also another benefit that we, within the embassy, we can link together different aspects of our work, economic and commercial promotion with, again, integral consular services. This is for us a reason for being very proud as Foreign Service members. And with that, I think I'll give the floor to Oliver, which I'm sure you will find very interesting. Oliver, por favor.
Thank you very much. Gracias, Erasmo, Ambassador. Well, thank you very much for your kind words. As Ambassador mentioned, there is like a not a traditional effort that you will find like within the government. You know, sometimes it's quite difficult to improve from inside the government new ideas or new technologies, since we have very strict rules. But sometimes if you want to take a leap forward, you have to be innovative and take some risk, control risk, we say, no, to don't have jeopardize our operations. So now this is the chatbot that we developed. The first one, I will present the first one that use the same architecture than the consular one that was mentioned. So this is let me just get the full screen. It's fine. So an artificial intelligence assistant. Well, as you may know, Germany is our main trading partner. It's our main economic partner in Europe. We have one of the most robust and evolved bilateral relations in the whole world. So that's one of the main reasons that we can develop that kind of tool in this context. Also, why? Because now the technology allows that. There is a huge democratization of these new technologies. Now, if I will tell you 2 years ago that we will have these LLMs models, the ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, in the tip of your hands, we will something you don't believe me, will think it's science fiction. Now it's possible, and I'm sure most of you know how to use these tools, and it's like an extra person, an extra help for daily work or daily activities, and give us that extra capability to develop better and reach out with more force and be more capable. Also, because in the current context, we have seen a lot of interest of many Mexican exporters to have activities outside the US. Germany is a traditional market for Mexicans, but our economic region is more indexed to the US, to North America. But in the current situation, many exporters are trying to reach new markets, to explore new markets, and Germany is like the most traditional and the most easy destination in the top of their minds to explore. But when they start trying to move their operations here, they found that it's not the same that exporting to the US. There are different regulations, certifications, the logistics. It's even though they are well prepared for the North American market and some other markets, Asia markets, in Europe you have these strong regulations, a strong certification that must be fulfilled. So that's like a barrier for them, and we found that the need that they should be taught and receive that first capabilities to come into this market. Also, well, as you know, this shop or this counter of artificial intelligence works 24/7. You don't need to have like a person back in the computer. It can be active all of the time, all days of the week. So that gives you, for the time difference, a good assistant to the work that we develop every day. So now I'm going to display the phases of the project. First, we start building the knowledge base. As you know, it's very important for these AI assistants, chatbots, to know what should they have to answer to the public. We take a lot of time on that because the answers and the information that they must provide are 100% accurate. They should be according to the German regulations and also to the European regulations, to these 27 countries and the European Union framework. So we spend a lot of time curating this knowledge base. And after that, we integrated into a platform for chatbots, for in artificial intelligence. We trained and the model. We start doing some proofs after that, a long phase of training of the chatbot to see how it's going to answer, if it develops with these some tweaks and some fine tuning to have like a safe model. In this process, we throw, these difficult questions because it's amazing. When we start with the first demo, most of the questions we're trying to make the chatbot to fail, so to get a bad response. So they throw these complicated, very complex questions, so they manage to answer very well. Even questions about Mexican politics or trying to talk back, asking them to talk bad about the Mexican people. So we have to manage that also, learn how to avoid those bad answers. There is a work of that they call it prompt injection. That is a technique to make your model to fail. So you have to make it safe-proof. Well, after that we feel comfortable and to have this model, we have one rule that they could not have a bad question, because one bad answer, bad answers will put into questioning the whole process. So we took it very serious, this phase. After that, we make this launch and final phase, and now we are in the promotion of this first chatbot, the economic one. I'm just going to explain not a technical way how it works. This person should be like the embassy staff that curates and prepares this database. This is the database with PDFs, web pages, Word documents, everything that we need. Also these emails that we traditionally use to answer questions. It's all these together. We fed it into this platform. This is the chatbot, no? And this is the platform where it works. I put this circle around it because it's in a safe space, not connected to the internet. It only works on this environment, and it only can answer based on their knowledge base. The platform transfers this in a language that the chatbot will understand and knows where to operate. And this is a very important part, which is the prompt. That is the personality, the soul and the heart of the chatbot that tells us what it is. You are, we explain it, you are the chatbot of the Embassy of Mexico in charge of this. You should answer in this. Even some specific details, let's say you should speak in Mexican language, Spanish, but Mexican Spanish, no? And to be like very professional, all these details that we should, to give it like a very precise way to answer the consultations, the questions. After that, it's open to the public, and this is represents all the users that can't ask the chatbot in real time. It's web-based. You just need a website. You go to the website and it opens immediately, and you can start throwing the questions, and you will get an answer. But this was the first, let's say, goal that we have. But after that, we discovered that it also helps us on our daily work. Let's say we can also, when we receive another questions from email or phone calls or any other way that social media, we just fed in also to the chatbot, and is able to answer that question and help us a lot in our daily work. Is to have an extra pair of hands, or more than a pair of hands, with us all the time, so that help us to, instead of going back to our database, to their library to get that answer, the chatbot will give us, and we can answer in very fast and very accurate. So this is the first. It's in Spanish because, of course, it's addressed to mainly to our Mexican audience. So this is the website where you can visit the chatbot. I invite you to go there, to throw some questions, to let's say, I want to export avocados, I want to export motors, what is their certification for lemons, which logistic route would you recommend me to export, where can I get a good agent for the customs. Try different ways. It's capable of give different type of answers. And after we have this project for the past month, we start with the second, and I may say the most important project, that is the consular chatbot. The consular chatbot, which is also here, it's another face, but it's also like a robot. And this is the website, and also that's the QR where you can visit. And we follow the same process, but we need extra effort in building the database and the personality of the chatbots. Why? For the knowledge base, because there are a lot of the documents and services the consul provides. So we have to first clean our information to make it understandable, very more easy to read for the system. Since we discovered that most of the users now, they don't want to go to the websites. They just want to have the information, ask a question and get the information, the requirements, and don't spend time in this, then, and have the information most easy to understand. So this, we have received a lot of questions about the services that the consul provides, like the passport, or how can register my daughter into to become Mexican. How do I get a visa? So there are many aspects that you can cover from that chatbot. Also, one important part, one pillar is the documents that we issue every day. The second pillar is the consular protection that we give to our nationals. Let's say when a Mexican is in a difficult situation, not only regarding to authorities, but also personal situations like a social crisis, let's say depression, or violence, also intrafamilial violence. We have many cases of that, and the chatbot is able to give this first response. We make it very empathic to these cases. Also, I invite you to go there, try to also present those emergency cases. We have a button in the chatbot, and also gives like the first responded aid, that say, what is the situation? If your life or your integrity is at risk, please call the police first of all, and it's the number of the 112, I think it's the number, so you can call all the emergency services. In case there is no need to involve the authorities, we have this mobile phone, emergency mobile phone, cellular phone, that it's 24/7 available, that gives you that number. Also, they give you the directory of some services organization that gives this assistance in this type of cases, mainly, as I mentioned, this violence or depression, that is one of the most common that we face. So that for us, it's very good, because that helps us to give a more professional, more close attention, and very empathic. Even though it's a machine, but it's a well-trained machine that helps us to get closer to the person. One important thing is that we don't store the information, the personal data of the people that are doing the questions. So we have found that they feel comfortable sharing things that normally you won't share in a phone call. Let's say they don't give any names or any information. They only say, I have problems with my husband, or they took my daughter, or some delicate things. The chatbot gives you that first assistance. Of course, it's only this first or second assistance. After that, you have to, of course, speak to the human, in case of this very delicate situation. But at least give you a light in this when you face these difficult scenarios. So that will be it. In a nutshell, what we are developing here, it's a first step. Now we're working in other. The ambassador was very generous, and other representations abroad are doing the same case. Our dream is to have one master chatbot or AI assistant for the whole services of the embassy and for the whole services of the government of Mexico. But we are on that path, and well, it's very exciting times, and we're happy that we are part of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oliver. Gracias, Oliver. As you see, we have our own entrepreneurs in the embassy. It is very, very good. So after this introduction, which also allows us to see how artificial intelligence works, it's something for us very, very new, at least for me. We will now go into the first Friday curated network. We will start with the substance of our event. Le voy a dar la palabra y las riendas del evento. I will give the handle of things to Alejandro, Begoña, and once he arrives, Juan de Dios. Y pues bienvenidos, adelante, la casa es suya.
Hola, bienvenidos, bienvenidas aquí a México, en la Embajada de México, to the Mexican Embassy. Thank you very much to the Ambassador of Mexico, Francisco Quiroga Fernandez, and the staff for always welcoming this great community that we have built over the years. I must say that First Friday started in 2008. It was a financial crisis. It was a similar situation like we have now, because AI can disrupt your job and entire businesses. If they're not, they'd be gone in no time. You know? So I had to have an update to persuade my clients not to sell their stocks, right? Then the financial crisis was over, and then I created this format called Wissen, Kontakte, Chancen. It's from 2009. It was always like one financial topic, the Golden Finanzregeln, and then something about career and personality, because I think whatever we do must do with a certain purpose. You don't work only for money. I mean, you earn 100,000 euros, or you're the richest man in the world. Then what? What's the point? Especially now, when AI machines take over our work, what do you want to do? What's left, right? So it must make sense. And for me, as a Mexican German, I always had like this urge to build a bridge between Mexico and Germany, right? And with financial advice, it was not very popular, you know? Mexicans as customers, no way, it was only German, right? But then, 2010, my mother passed away, and she inherited a shop, a boutique, and an art gallery in Mexico. And I was confronted with inheriting an institution that has been there for half a century. It's the one-stop shop for the best Mexican fashion and art in one place. And that was what I inherited. And I don't know how to integrate that in my life. So I had to reinvent myself and said, okay, how can I combine art with my job here? No? So what I did is I founded VAF Alemania, Mexico Arte, with the idea to bring artists from my gallery in Mexico to my events here, where he would expose some piece of art. And the topics were how to finance a flat in Berlin. If you would have listened to my advice then, you would probably be rich now. Yeah. Now we do. Yeah, and the first one in Spanish was in 2011. How to find a loan as a Mexican here in Berlin, right? And this was basically the Ventanilla de Asesoría Financiera then, you know, a pioneer thing. I didn't know that, but then more and more people who doesn't speak Spanish or English, German came in, and we switched to English. And we opened it to a community that's now, we almost have 5,000 members in the past year. We never ever missed a First Friday, except in January, because then I'm in Mexico. Never, not even when there's football, Mexico against Germany, Mundial. You have to build trust. And that's the key element I want to bring as a message to you. And this time, the biggest problem is trust. How do you trust your financial advisor or your IT security advisor? How can you trust? And to generate trust, especially with AI, you know, I see the time coming when somebody with my face would invite you to a Telegram group to buy some stuff, yeah, to do some investment. I would never do that, yeah. But this is happening right now. And this is a problem of trust. And trust is bad for business. Yeah? So how do we confront this problem, or how I try to solve it? First is that we really have a space where we encounter physically in person once a month. And there's a question, is there First Friday is prohibited? Because there always was a First Friday, and there always will be, except in January. And now we also have an open space workshop where everybody is invited to share their expertise. It must be free. And what I also figured out, it's not about going to a networking event and getting your business card. Then what? What happens? Yeah, you have 10 new followers on Facebook. You have 5 million. So what? That's like being millionaire in Monopoly. Yeah, we have to have rely on real personal contacts and where we make human connections through common projects, where we actually help each other pursue our dream of opening our own business or learning a new skill like AI and sharing, because that's how we make meaningful connections, right? And I can give you a lot of examples, and I have a lot of friends here that are now my friends. And I want to, please raise your hand who has been to First Friday. Well, that's quite a lot, yeah? And who has been more than 3 times at First Friday? More than 10 times at First Friday. Yeah, there's Pierre. Pierre, he rescued us during the pandemic. Yeah, there was no way to make up First Friday there. And thanks to him, we continued. And we learned a lot about that too. And on that note, it's about net worthing, a term that I learned from Ilse de la Cruz Gomez. She's one of the panelists there, net worthing, yeah, where we create worth through human connections by working together. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to have a workshop where the goal is that you find a relevant problem. No, we don't want any perfect solution for a problem that nobody cares or any functionality. We have that enough. We want real problems, how we can save them. And I wish that AI will not replace real human connections, but enhance them. Thank you very much.
Yes, it's here.
Want to ask me about technique?
All right. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Anita. And first of all, I want to thank Ambassador and the whole Mexican Embassy team. Of course, Alejandro as well for having me in this beautiful building, actually. And how I would say Spanish speakers would say maravillosa, because the building is really beautiful. And unfortunately, this is the only word that I can say in Spanish. So we're going to keep it in English, the whole workshop. It was... Okay, there was... Great, thank you. Before we start, actually, there are a bit of formatting issues, so ignore that, but I think it's still gonna... the presentation will serve us well. So what are we going to do, actually, during this approximately 45 minutes? So first, we're gonna start with something very fun. Then we're gonna go into critical thinking. Then we're gonna learn some new frameworks, and then we're gonna brainstorm and ideate. All right, so considering I just promised you to do something fun, and let's be honest, it's Friday, we will do a small and fun icebreaker. So I would like to invite you to stand up. I know it's a bit, there is not a lot of space, but make yourself comfy. All right, and whatever I do and I say, you repeat and you do whatever I do, all right? Okay. Hi. My name is Joe. And I work in a bottom factory. I have a boss. And I also have a wife. One day, my boss came to me and said, Joe, are you busy, Joe? I said, no. Then press this button with your left hand. Hi, my name is Joe, and I work in a bottom factory. One day, my boss came to me and said, Joe, are you busy, Joe? I said, no. Then press this button with your right hand. Hi, my name is Joe. I work in a bottom factory. I have a wife and 3 kids, just 3. One day, my amazing boss came to me and said, Joe, are you busy, Joe? I said, no. then press this button with your left shoulder. Hi, my name is Joe, and I work where? In a bottom factory. One day, my boss came to me and said, Joe, are you busy, Joe? I said, no. No, actually. I said, yes. So, I hope you warmed up a bit. Actually, I would love that to move around a bit, not to be statical here, but I'm not sure, is that possible? Huh? Can I have to be here. Uh-huh. It's so much better not having something between you guys and me. Like, huh? Like what? Air, exactly. Exactly. All right. Thank you for participating in this first, I would say, small energizer, because I think it's not easy to do stuff on Friday afternoon, especially, yeah, when the sun is out there in Berlin. All right. So, as I mentioned, we're going to start by critically thinking a bit. And this whole event today spins around AI and how can we easily generate new ideas, or let's say, quote unquote, easily. Can we really easily generate AI ideas? And how can we turn them into, I would say, viable businesses? To start on that note, all right, hype versus value. There is a lot of hype nowadays. It was never so easy to build something how it is today. AI opened enormous opportunities for so many industries, automations, improvements. And everyone, some would say that there is a lot of like fishing opportunities. What can something be quickly done? Or is it a long-term business opportunities? So I will show you 3 examples of 3 companies, 3 AI startups. And then once we go through them, I would like that you talk with the person next to you. What do you think? Is this really a value or a hype? All right. The first one is Cal AI. It's calorie tracker. And as you can see, it's a relatively new startup from US. They made quite a big traction in a very short time with a super small team. And this is actually one of the advantages of AI startups. You don't need there is no more need for a huge, heavy development team and long development cycles. Everything can be done much, much faster. And what's even more important, you can actually see, is the market really buying it? Is there attraction for this product? So the first one is Cal AI. So they launched in May 24, and so far they have more than 5 million downloads with a monthly recurring revenue of $400,000 US dollars. And apparently they have a retention rate over 30%, which is pretty great. And right now they're a team of 14 people, but actually when they started, they were just 3. And in the first month, they already had a pretty good traction. So that's the first one. The second one is, maybe some of you already used it. It's basically AI headshot generator. How can you easily generate, let's say, professional photos just by uploading any photos that you have? Similar traction, but a bit older. They founded in 2022. They have a monthly recurring revenue of 830K. Of course, they are 2 years longer on the market than the previous company, which of course reflects on their annual earnings as well. But as you can see, they're a team of 9 people. Stunning. The last one is Scribe. Scribe is actually a startup from Berlin. Anyone heard about those 3 startups? I'm just curious. Okay, cool. There are some hands. For Scribe, they are actually the newest ones. They are founded in August 24. I couldn't find a lot of data about them, unfortunately, but they did created a lot of, I would say, interesting buzz on LinkedIn, and that's how I found them. But why I actually choose 3 different startups? Because of course it's easier to create some tractions in a bigger market, like for example, Calorie AI, Cal AI is doing, compared to, let's say, Scribe, which actually started in Berlin. So it's not the same, of course, if you are starting from a bigger pool or smaller pool. All right. So now I would like to ask you to talk for 1 minute with maybe 1 or 2 people around you, trying to analyze or trying to come to the conclusion: is this a hype or a real value? What do you think? Thank you. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. All right. I'm curious to hear some of your opinions. Do we have a volunteer who would like to share?
Yeah, hello, hi.
Hi.
My name is Ali. I talked with a friend right here, and we both agreed that the first one, which was about the calorie, it could be a real problem that many people need. But the last 2, it's a hype because it brings value, but it's not a necessity. We could live our life without even having these 2, the last 2 solutions.
All right. Thank you very much. Anyone else? We have one more here and one more there.
Thank you. What we were discussing was that the three versions are attacking one specific psychological part of human being, and that's vanity and insecurity. Because the first one is related to your weight, and everybody wants to look great. The second one is about how everybody is going to perceive you, the photography. And the last one is about how your professional network is going to perceive you and is going to connect to you. Are they really providing some additional value to your life? Probably not. How you think or perceive that is working for you, it's a very different thing. So probably that is hype. You?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, this last one, I think it also makes the connection, the human connection, what Alejandro was mentioning. So I think this could also have a little, more personal touch to the rest, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Thank you. And we have one more.
Yeah, thank you. We were here discussing about that. The first one, it can be like a niche for the people who is trying to lose weight. But the second one can create a real value, because if you are looking for a job and you need a real picture about you in a better way, about the perception, that's going to help you in a proper way. And for the third one, I'm not sure what they do. For this reason, I can say something. But the second one can be a new way to get a job with a nice picture. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone. And it's if we would continue this, let's say, conversation, I am sure we would find pros and cons for each one of them. But what if I would invite you to think about value and hype from a perspective of ka-ching, or actually money? So as we could see, especially for the first two startups, they are actually generating pretty good revenue for something that is, at the end of the day, we can debate how big is this problem, or are they really? The thing is, the moment someone is willing to pay for it, there is a value. Would you agree? Would you agree with that? One more time. Yeah. All right, let's continue. All right, so to go back a little bit into, I would say, startup foundation, when we are considering building something, those four main elements are, let's say, bread and butter, water, air to your lungs, something that you have to go through when you are starting. And what does it actually mean? So we have a technical feasibility as the first one. Nowadays, in the age of AI, it means, can you actually utilize existing ML models? What kind of infrastructure do you need? Can you also use something already existing, or you have to build something completely new? Once you build your product, can it be easily integrated into your customer facilities? What type of, is it actually technically scalable? How much does it cost? What type of cost do you have while scaling? Business viability. As you can see, each one of them has a lot of steps that you need to consider. So business viability is all about getting this problem solution fit. What does it mean? The problem you are trying to solve and the solution that you have built needs to fit. It sounds actually so easy, but so many companies are struggling with this. The whole business viability also is followed by a very strong go-to-market. How actually you are going to sell your product, to whom, what type of ideal customer profile are you looking for, how hard it is to retain your customers. These are all the questions that you should be considering and thinking about. Desirability is, as you can see, similar to the business viability in a context that there is a problem solution fit, because you want something, you don't want to sell it once. You want your customers to come back. And this is actually this goal that you want to have with the product market fit. Considering we are currently in the AI stage, ethical responsibility is starting to play extremely important role. And when you are thinking about ethical responsibility, usually it comes down to how transparent is or are your models. Are you breaching any privacy and data? What type of user consent are you involving in your product, and so on and so forth? So the question is, how do you actually validate demand? So I think everyone, whenever they want to start something, they are always maybe thinking too big. But the question is, how can you very quickly validate demand before you invested almost zero money into building this? And there are actually two approaches. I would say two steps, not two approaches, but two steps to your product market fit. The first one is actually you need to go and find your customers before you even made whatever you want to make or whatever you want to sell. You need to find them and you need to try to sell them before you actually made the investments and built whatever you want to build. Then when you found them in a reasonable time window, you should actually scrape some kind of prototype or MVP, especially nowadays with AI tools. You can actually do it in 6 to 8 hours, which is crazy. And then you need to see how can you actually serve your customers in a long run, because again, you want to retain them. But that's easier said than done again, because if it would be so easy, then we would all be, I think, much, our bank accounts would be much bigger than what they are right now. So the thing is, at the beginning, we usually start with exploration. What does it mean? So you don't have one customer and one target audience and one use case, but you are playing in a much wider field. You are trying this market and this type of customers. Usually people have a pretty, I would say, defined to who they want to sell, but it doesn't mean that it's easy to reach those people, which means you have to go through the journey of coming to the point of finding those ideal customers. So how actually? So you're gonna try to use your network. You're gonna promote whatever you're doing. Go to the events. Join Friday networking. Join Atos community. You just wanna be out there. Try to connect with people and try to find those potential customers of yours. But at the end of the day, it's really about hustle at the beginning. So, but I am sure even just the word hustle sounds a bit tiring. This is not scalable, right? It's something that you cannot do in a long run because it will bring you no benefits. You actually, through this hustle mode, you want to find one target audience that is best for you and actually one use case, because that's how you can scale. All right. And in this journey of scaling, you are going to have first your early users, which absolutely don't have to be your ideal customers that you want to work with. So first, you're going to learn through your early users, try to survive and learn and upgrade whatever you are trying to build. Then you're going to move into your early customers, and then eventually you can come to your ideal customer profile. So as you can see, this is really a journey. I have to change the hand. What's important in this to mention is that through this journey, hopefully you will be able to make some money and learn. I think the learning and iteration are the key words in this whole process. So to kind of summarize this part, your goal should be to have at the end one use case, one channel, and one ideal customer profile. So the question is, you finally found this perfect target audience and this perfect use case. And now you want to grow your business, let's say for more than 1,000 customers. And how can you do it? There are a couple of ways, of course. You can grow, you can just stick to one use case and add different types of audiences, or you can actually do the opposite. More use cases, but one target audience. So we have a horizontal and vertical growth opportunities. All right, this is a slightly formatting mistake, but we're going to ignore that. So to summarize, on one side, we have early customer profiles, and on the other side, ideal customer profiles. Usually, they are pretty different, and you want to be able to distinguish them from the early on. Early customer profiles are usually very, very eager to work with you, to talk with you, to share their opinion, to give you feedback. And on the other side, the ideal customer profile is someone who is actually probably not so easy to reach. Usually there are a lot of barriers to actually work with those companies, with those clients. And that's why, and also they're also very risk averse, meaning if you cannot prove that your product service is super reliable, most probably they won't work with you, which means that the journey that we saw previously, this one, it totally makes sense, because you're also actually developing yourself and developing your company before you actually come to the point of being able to work. There is an interesting point in sales. When you start selling your products, you don't want to actually go first to your ICPs, to your ideal customer profiles, because there is a high chance you're going to blow it. So first, save the good ones for a bit later, when you are 100% sure that you know what you are doing, but you know what you are selling and doing. All right, so everyone on LinkedIn, overall on Google, whatever channel you open, they're saying you have to learn from your customers. You have to analyze them. Yes, but when do you start analyzing them? You can't draw conclusions if you do not have enough customers. So depending to what type of market you are aiming and to what type of customers you are aiming, this is where you need to make this conscious decision when actually to start analyzing. So of course, it makes no sense to try to make a conclusion if you have 3 to 5 customers, if they are not super big customers. So to kind of conclude this first part, I want to just say, sell it before you make it. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to try to do, try to sell it to someone, not completely, because of course they cannot be a money transaction, but try to get some kind of interest before you actually make something, because that's the best way how you can validate your product. All right, and now we're going to do some brainstorming, as we can see here. Yeah, again, formatting issues, but all right. I would like to invite you to think about industry. So the whole, before we actually start brainstorming, just to give you a bit of introduction, the idea is that you find a problem that is interesting for you. And this whole next couple of steps are connected to this problem. So I would like to invite you to think about industry that you find interesting. And finding this industry, we're going to do it in 3 steps. The first step, think about what was something that you were kind of interested in when you were a child. And you can actually use your phone to write down some of the things. All right? Then the second one, what was something that you were passionate about when you were adult? And what's something that you are passionate about now? And I would give you 1 minute to write something on your phone or to choose an industry. Think where are you passionate about? What are your interests? What do you wanna? And it doesn't have to be connected to your education or your work. Just try to think where your passion lies. All right? Let's do 1 minute. How is it going? Okay, I still a lot of faces are kind of focused and All right. So, have you found something? Yes? No? All right. Then we're gonna go next step. Industries, as we know, are too broad. We cannot, it's very hard to build a business around an industry, right? So we need to, the best way is to already from the beginning start much smaller, or you wanna think small in a way that you wanna find a niche that it's underserved. So if you don't know a lot about the industry that you choose, I'm sure all of you have your phones with you, and even if you Google niche industry, this and this, you're gonna find it. Because I Googled in the morning, I tried, and it worked. So try to find a niche that it's interesting for you, which is part of the industry that you choose. All right. So hopefully you found one niche that sounds interesting to you. Then we're gonna go to the next step, which is a problem. Do you know of an existing problem in this niche that you think you could solve in a better way? And if you, again, don't know specific problems, just by Googling Gemini will give you some interesting results. Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. We have a Wi-Fi connection here because my internet is pretty slow. I don't know if others have the issue as well.
I mean, I don't know actually. Yes, we do. Okay. It's a guest. Mexico Lindo 23. It's not gonna be. So it's really like the network name is guest, and you can actually just pass it around. I think that's the easiest way. Yeah, maybe just pass it around.
I've got some blogs. If you make an analog, it's better also psychological because it's happening.
Mexico Lindo 23. Mexico M big and Lindo big. All right. I hope you found something. So the next step actually is our first roadblock. So once you start going in the rabbit hole of researching your problem statement in your whole problem space, there is quite a big chance you're gonna really end up in a rabbit hole of endless research. To actually maybe focus and not to drown in the ocean of information that you're going to find, focus on those, let's say, following 3 questions. The first one is this problem currently solved, and how is it solved? Because you want to, from the beginning, understand what is your competition doing, right? Because it makes no sense building something that is already built. So you can actually, again, just research using Google and find a lot of information. When you are going through this exploration and ideation phase, it's very useful to use tools like Miro or even Canva, depending on your preferences, to have everything at one place. Because the longer you're gonna, I would say, be in this process of exploration and ideation, you will collect more and more information. And you want to have it kind of at one place for yourself. Is it scalable? How complicated is to scale actually this product in general? And actually, is the market big enough that allow you to scale? Because sometimes product is scalable, but simply market is not big enough. And then we come to the point called 10x, which means actually innovation. Is it what you are building really 10x better than the existing solution? What type of innovation are you actually bringing to the table? Is it technology? Is it new way of sales? Is it some very creative go-to-market approach? Or at the end of the day, is it something that is particularly connected to you? Some skill of yours that not a lot of people have, and the whole business will be shaped around you. Technology. Very often, startups, or let's say early founders, will start with technology. They're not gonna start with the problem. They're gonna drown themselves into or fell in love in the piece of technology, and then look for, okay, with this technology, what could I do? Usually there is no wrong or right approach, but of course it's always better to start with the problem, because it means you are building based on a value, on a real pain point. And technology, yes, it can be improvement like AI nowadays is, because it is automation. It means faster, cheaper. And this is already, sometimes in certain industries, enough. Challenge. What type of challenge can we have? So I would like, again, to stay in your small groups, maybe with people who are sitting around you, and try to shortly summarize what you just did. The problem you researched, maybe the industry, whatever you managed to collect in this couple of minutes that we had. And allow other person to give you feedback. You don't have to take the feedback, but just hear them out. Maybe they have something interesting to say. And then you do the other way around. All right? So I think maybe 5 minutes. Thank you very much. All right. I would love to hear 1 or 2, 3 volunteers who are willing to share what they brainstormed. Do we have any volunteers? Yes.
So we were speaking here about fast fashion. The second one, the niche is the sustainable fashion. And the third one is going to be the environment damage they produce, sending all the leftovers into Atacama or to other places around the world. That's more or less what we spoke about.
Is there anything interesting feedback you received?
Yes, because normally the leftovers, they end in other places like Asia or Latam. Now here in Europe, we are really interested to keep the leftovers here, to be treated here, and to do new jackets. In this case, we were speaking about Nike, how they separate the material to do a specific product with a specific material from the beginning, and to keep in track from the beginning till the end this life cycle product management. At the end of the day, it shall be or must be really transparent for the consumer to know from A to B, that is the path, the material work till from the factory till your body, more or less. That is the assumption we have here.
Thank you. Anyone else? Here?
Thank you. Oh, I understand. Okay. I just talked with him about the idea because of this process we're going to face, that a lot of people are going to lose jobs through AI. And my idea was that we just talk about how you can align people with their next adventure after all jobs are gone. And then we came to the idea with Destiny. It's an AI that's going to help you through advice like Apple Watch and track your own emotional state when you're doing things like playing music or having public speak. And it can give you information through your own data, how you felt, if you was happy or not, and you can analyze with the AI, and the AI gonna gives you through the data from around for other people what next steps you could take to get more aligned with your future. And he gives me also advice that maybe it's good, but it could be easy for a company like Apple to just take your idea and makes it better and more easier because they already got the infrastructure.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Maybe last one?
Hi. So, well, my name is Health, and I develop a product like vitamins that help women to get pregnant or during the pregnancy. And my problem right now is the content creation. I saw like some AIs like Creatify that could help them, but the AI is a bit sketchy. I don't know. I didn't like it. The next one I'm gonna test is the from Google. And another problem that I have like customer support, for example, on WhatsApp and in email. And I mean, as a brand, I think it's most actually the direction like IC is going to take it, so it can like grow the brands like literally create community. And well, if anyone has advice for helping with my problems, I'm open to hear it.
That's a good end of the statement. Thank you very much. That's actually very interesting. Like we will have a coffee break soon, and I think use a coffee break to maybe exchange with other people to hear what they created maybe or what they are interested in. You never know what type of potential collaboration can pop up. But to continue on our exploration journey, there are a couple of more steps that we need to go through. And the second one is it's part of our challenge. So sometimes when we find a problem in a specific industry, in a specific niche, usually there are very interesting solutions or similar problems in different industries. So it totally makes sense to look how this problem is solved in different industry. And actually, again, map that. Because nowadays, I really don't believe there is a need of inventing the wheel. Sometimes we just need to find the right information. And very often, it's very applicable to take something from one industry and apply it in a new way into new industry. So that's why I think this small matrix can help you to challenge your problem. Is there a better way? A second one is called actually, the second method is called Da Vinci method. I'm not sure, have you heard about it? But basically the idea is that again, you map different problem statements, different niches, technologies, and industries in a matrix, and then just randomly try to connect them and see, does it make sense? Can you create something new from the just mapping everything in one matrix? So there are many different techniques that you can actually use while you are in this exploration and ideation phase. These are just some of them. And when you are, let's say, at the beginning of your journey, usually it's very easy to slip into solution mode before you actually know the problem very well. So that's why today we were focusing only on problem, and most probably there will be a second workshop where we're gonna focus on solution. We just have to see when exactly, but we just kind of opened the Pandora's box right now. To conclude on that, actually, my name is Anita. Thank you for listening to me. I am actually professionally doing this type of workshops, helping companies and organizations to unstuck when they feel stuck, help them ideate and actually validate on their products and services. If you want to connect with me, this is a QR code to my LinkedIn, so feel free to scan. And yeah, if you have any questions, I think we can still have a couple of questions at the end if there are some questions.
Yeah, when actually is a good indicator just to stop, not just because when you type it in ChatGPT, it runs endless, go this, but what's like a clear metrics where you have an idea and you see it's like a wall and you just need to abandon it?
Very good question. Very at the beginning, once you have, let's say, clear problem, niche, and You want to start finding potential customers and doing customer interviews with them. And the first clue that I kind of think it's very, very, very powerful is the moment you are struggling to find people just to talk to you, just to have this intro calls of half an hour where there is no sales, no nothing, and you are still struggling of doing that. Then the question is, you are maybe fishing in a wrong pond. Maybe you need to look for something else and you need to close it down. And I can give you an example. One of my first projects a couple of years ago was one very technical HVAC topic. And it took us months to recruit people just to talk to. And then we realized this is such a small, closed market. And what we were trying, it was not working. So we had to completely change the approach. Any other questions?
How to find the right niche?
That's a heavy one. So the right niche, in theory, is not small enough. It's not too small, but it's also not too big. And now the question is, what is small and what is big? I think it also depends what type of company you want to build. What are your ambitions and aspirations? What kind of path you are seeing for yourself? Do you want to go for the venture capital? That means you need to raise. That means you need to be, finding big enough niche that can actually grow. Because with niche, you start. But then the idea is always just growth. Because, capitalism is just growth, right? Selling more and expanding. But what is actually the right niche really also depends on the industry. Sometimes there is, unfortunately, I don't have this slide, but there is one interesting article from a VC called Point 9, and one of the founders wrote an article about different type of customers, and he divided them into animals, basically. And it's very, very interesting how they presented it. So they are flies, mice, deers, elephants, and maybe I missed one, but you get the point. And each one of them brings specific characteristics. Each one of customers. So if you are in a market of flies, meaning super small customers, super small transactions, you need to be doing a lot of them to be successful, right? The higher you go, the less customers you need, but it's also making things more complex, right? Because the sales is becoming B2B sales then, and then it's more like a process-driven sales. I hope, any other, maybe last question?
Hi, Anita. Thank you very much for the workshop. So maybe this is not specific to the problem, but so once you maybe this is regarding scaling specifically, especially if you are in a very dynamic niche or like a dynamic market, let's say, where things are changing maybe like within a week or sometimes like every day. And then if you are in an early stage, right? So you have a product and you have actually proven that it works. And how do you strategically scale at this point, knowing that there might be something else, like maybe like a bigger company like Google or let's say like OpenAI builds something which could actually like threaten you in your scalability.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. Very good question. So I will answer it, but as an introduction to your answer, I actually want to again come back to the calorie tracker. I'm not sure how much you know about this fitness industry, but it's extremely competitive, and it actually fits to your description. It's very easy to build something. There is an extremely high competition. They are in an extremely saturated market, but they still manage to found the space for them And for them, what they actually did, what was their kind of like a ace from the sleeve, was very creative go-to-market strategy. They found like underdog influencers, like TikTok health influencers, sport influencers, and this is how actually they started. And they really created this momentum in the first couple of weeks after the launch. So the scalability really depends on, like, of course, if you are in a B2B market, then it makes no sense to go to TikTok. It totally makes sense, right? But again, you need to find a way how to communicate what you're doing. And scalability comes from visibility and trust, like Alejandro mentioned previously. It's a cocktail of a couple of things. It's a trust, visibility, and the more they see you, there is a higher chance that they will be convinced of buying something from you. Because scalability is a process. It doesn't come overnight. And that's why I was always like mentioning, you have to go through those steps, like understanding to whom you are selling, what messaging works for them, for those people, for this type of customer. All right. Okay. I think let's do last question. Yes. Let's. I'll come to you.
I think there's another path also, maybe, if I can add, that not just only think about competitors, but also as alliance. Because some companies, for example, there is a case of Drumroll. There was a company that was creating some kind of tool that allows the users to create videos and something like that. And then LinkedIn acquired. So it might be scareful because you think, okay, big companies will take me over, but sometimes they don't have the capacity because they have a big product and big market to take in the small solutions. So they acquire. So there's also opportunities when you see the risks.
I agree. There is always opportunity. You just have to, hopefully you will have enough time and money to actually iterate to find it, because that's very often the case. So, all right, I would finish here. Thank you everyone for playing along. And I hope to chat with you later on the coffee break.
Maybe one last remark about the niche that you have to look for. It's not only the market fit that you have to figure out, but also the fit to your person, right? It must fit to your life. Don't start a business that doesn't match with your life. Yeah. And one niche could be your language. I mean, most people from you come from Mexico, you come from India, and anything that's in the service industry here in Germany that you can address in your language with your peer co-nationals can work, you know. And I came to that by accident. And one last anecdote about finding a niche. When we were looking for a case study for how to start a business here in Germany, we came first with the idea of importing teponazles. These are like pre-Hispanic drums. We identified it was such a niche. We had immediately 2 customers. The one is Arturo Pantaleon. He is a Philharmonic Orchestra. He uses that kind of instrument with classical music. And the other one was his friend who likes to drum in the Mauer Park, but has no money. Yeah, that was it. And there's no competition there. So if there's no competition there, then there's suspicion that there's no market. Yeah. So we moved on with shoes that were cobblestone proof, because we also have here issues with our feet and with the streets, not only in Mexico. Thank you. So we're going to start with the coffee break and networking, and then we proceed with the panel. Thank you.
So our colleague Juan was supposed to moderate the panel, but unfortunately, we don't know anything about him. So we really hope he's doing well and nothing happened, because we are very much surprised. And so Ileana, which is one of the founders on the panel, she offered herself to moderate since they know each other from the preparation meeting which they had with Juan on Tuesday. So Ileana, thank you very much for being spontaneous and taking over the role. And are we ready for the panel? I would like to ask you everybody to come over here, otherwise it may get a bit loud. Thank you very much.
Sí. Ok. Pues bienvenidos a la segunda parte. Welcome to the second part of this event. We're going to proceed with a panel discussion, and by starting that, every one of us will present themselves in 1 minute or shorter, like you do at First Friday. So when you come, the next event, First Friday, will be on the 4th of July. You will say your name, what you do, how you help other people, and how we can help you normally. But here you can say, okay, what's your connecting point with AI and your profession?
Mm-hmm.
And I pass the voice to
me. Okay. All right. So thank you very much, everybody. I'm glad to be here, and also for the audience who is online, we say hello. My name is Ilse de la Cruz, and I am a professional certified coach, and specifically for strengths coaching. This is and leadership as well. And I have also a full-time job. So I have a full-time job in a large German corporation, and the coaching that I do is part of my side business, in which we are named Integral Coaching Group, and we are behavior designers. Why that? Because we empower expats specifically to learn what their natural talents are, and how you can invest in those talents so that they become your strength. Mm-hmm. And I'm also very much about technology and integrating technology, and that's why also the use of AI in terms of personal leadership development. And in addition, I'm also a certified trainer in the metaverse, which is also a hype technology, a very nice technology as well. So yes, it's a little bit about me, and I'm looking forward to the panel discussion.
Thank you, Ilse. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to the amazing team of the Mexican Embassy. It's really great to be home again. My name is Ileana Harum. I am an international corporate lawyer. I'm also a neuropsychologist, and I basically help organizations to develop a strategic legal frameworks based on neuroscience, and that's a really, let's say, a different form to make things now. Because what I do is to consider what are the psychological biases or cognitive biases that leaders may take or not take into consideration when they are implementing these structures. So today I hope to share with you a little bit about how I'm implementing artificial intelligence to develop these strategies. And now I pass the microphone to
Hello, I'm David Montiel. I am the CEO and founder of a company called Bilinguap. It's a language learning app that works by showing users stories or text in 2 different languages side by side, and it's also like an audiobook. I get specific about this because it's very, very clear how my product, very particularly my product, has been considerably improved by the appearance of AI. I built this product in 2017. It was a very manual labor to translate the stories, narrate them, get the designer to design the cover, to get the writer to make the stories didactical so that the grammar tenses were the right ones, the vocabulary words were the right ones. But as soon as we were able to implement AI in the creation of these stories, well, everything changed, because we are now able to basically first customize the stories for whatever the users want, which makes for a much more engaging experience, but also to speed up the process at which the stories are generated. We can insert vocabulary words in the stories. We can insert grammar structures. We make the stories very simplified. The audios are also generated immediately, and of course the covers of the stories. So this allowed us to scale much faster, to save, of course, a lot of money and resources in the translation agencies, for example, that we were using. And it's very clear, at least professionally, based on this information, how entrepreneurship can become much easier if you use this tool in the way that it's meant to, or that in a way that favors your idea. Yeah, I hope we get a little more time to talk about this.
Thank you, David. And now we are going to pass the microphone to Alejandro. We decided that he's going to share a little bit about how he's using artificial intelligence also. Yeah.
Okay. As a financial advisor, how do I use it? I have one main case. When a client wants to buy or sell property, I use AI to make an evaluation of the property, and it's very nice because it says the price range from, let's say, 280 to 370,000 euros, and so much percent is above that price. Then you have a very quick estimate and a good ground to renegotiate the price. No, so that's basically one case scenario. The other one, ChatGPT, really. Oh, you great question, you know, fantastic, so eloquent. I don't like it. Yeah, it's so biased. So I have to probably reprogram it. I do use it, but then it starts to hallucinate, and then I see that my initial thoughts, they go somewhere else, and say no, back to the ground, you know. So it's a tool which has potential. But also I see a lot of risks. The main risk currently in the market is where they make fake profiles of you. So it's just a matter of time where you can see me on Facebook, that's how I call it, yeah, giving some advice and inviting you to join a WhatsApp group. And be careful with that. Don't do it, you know. But there are enough people who still believe that, and then, hey, I lost 2,000 euros, whatever. Not happened to me yet, yeah. But if that would happen, I would feel also guilty for what happened to them, because they really can copy your voice, and that's a big thing and a big problem. I don't know how to solve it. There's a campaign currently with Markus Koch. He's one of my mentors, where I learned how to be on the stock market. He's a journalist. And he's campaigning again against Meta, that they take action, because apparently they're very comfortable in making money with that advice. But I think it will harm them at the end, and that's a huge problem.
Thank you. So, Ilse, you just told us that you are working full-time, but you are also pursuing a career in coaching. Could you share with us one specific case in which either on your full-time job or coaching practice have applied artificial intelligence?
Yes, definitely. So I've been a certified coach, strengths coach, since 2017. So this is something that I have proven, let's say, in an artisan way without the AI before. And what happens is the following. So now what I do, or how I integrate the artificial intelligence with my clients, is definitely to open up perspectives. What do I mean by that? Many times when clients come to me, as mentioned, they could be expats or people who are pursuing a career in leadership. Sometimes they feel sometimes like a barrier. Yeah, they don't see further what they could do or how can they act differently, whatever. So how do I combine this? First, we check your natural talents, those talents you're born with. So we identify those talents is the first step. And after that, we see, okay, maybe you get an activity and then you start trying out, identify and being more conscious, more aware of your natural talents. And then we make them to your strengths. Once we know what those strengths are, then many times I tell my clients, okay, we can now start playing, let's say, with the AI, and we start creating, let's say, kind of profiles. Yeah, we ask, okay, based on these strengths, what could be possible next career steps for me? Yeah, so it's a combination of their own personal aspirations that the clients bring to the practice. And we also play and hallucinate, as you mentioned, with the AI. And that's the moment where the human connection makes a big difference. Because then myself as a coach, then I can tell them, the AI is already hallucinating. Yeah, so let's just get back to the roots. So that's why I mentioned this is like an artisan work. So this is the difference that we will see probably also in the future. Yeah, just as we can have like a tailor-made costume, we can also buy it somewhere. It's going to be the same for the use of AI. We might have robotic voices making some of the stories, but then we will also have artisan voices, let's say human voices that connect with others. And there's going to be also a market for both. Yeah, it's going to be a market for people who just pay for the AI and it's okay. And there's going to be people who are going to appreciate this artisan type of work. And that's how I'm combining these two.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So coming back to you, David, your company has around almost 10 years, a little bit more?
8. Yeah.
Okay. Could you share with us one specific case in which you notice a real difference between applying artificial intelligence now in comparison to the moment that you incorporated your business? And what has happened? Has it improved or it has become a problem?
Yes, of course. So yeah, I talked already a bit about the story creation, but maybe just to mention another feature, I have a lot of stories like this. For example, there was a feature in the app in which you would be able to select a word from the text, and we would call an API of a dictionary API, to get us the definition of that word. That was working maybe 60% of the time because the verbs are conjugated, the nouns are in plural or things like that. And that API has to be very exact. You would get the word, and if it found it, it will come back with maybe 6 or 7 different definitions, which can or cannot be the exact ones that the user needs for the story. So it was kind of a mediocre experience, to be very honest. And there was really, without AI, no way to do what the user was expecting the app to do, which is just tell me what this exact word means. But with AI, I am able to just send the API of OpenAI the word, the sentence, and the language. And then what comes back is the exact definition based on the context of the story, which is exactly what the user needs to be able to continue reading the story, which we purposely, deliberately made very interesting. And the user, part of the magic of the app is that the language learning part kind of happens in the background. You're supposed to be engaged with the story. So we try to make the story interesting. We try to make the story something that the user will like or at least have fun with. And then, of course, they have their native language, they have the audio, so they are kind of learning in the background. So that's why we made it so that it was very important for the user to find the word that they didn't understand, click on it, get the definition. But then we made that definition part a little complex because the API was not responding to us with exactly what we needed. But with AI, we were able to make that happen. It solved the problem in a couple of seconds, and now it's a very, very smooth experience. So definitely that improved the quality of the product.
And just to close the question, what is the specific role of human intelligence in this case?
Yeah, sure. Honestly, we don't pass that through any human intelligence except the user. So at some point, it was clear to us that there was not a solution for that that was seamless, because we had a sentence and we had one word, but there was not a technology that could give us one word, the definition of one word, specifically in the context of a sentence. And of course, we went through the process of thinking maybe we should have like a manual process, which will eventually come to a database, and then from that we could get the definition depending on the word, but that will take a long time. And of course, the human process was just implementing that, like realizing that we could solve that problem with AI, and that really opened our eyes to like, okay, now for any problem that we have, now solving it with AI is the first option. And it's surprising when we don't have a solution for any of the problems that the users are asking us. We were able to add new languages, for example. Now we're up to 23 languages, because for some languages, there were better APIs than others. It was Google Translate, it was DeepL, it was Amazon. Some of them were better than others. And then some languages that users were asking were not available in any of them. But again, now we have all of them, and they are all translations based on using ChatGPT.
Thank you so much. So now I would like to share with you how I'm using artificial intelligence. One of the main characteristics of artificial intelligence is that you can manage a really big amount of information in just one, let's call, tool. On my consulting, I use a lot of legal frameworks from a lot of countries, but I also use a lot of information from psychology and neuroscience. So for me, it's a bunch, an amazing bunch of information every day. One of the main cases is where I use artificial intelligence is for mergers and acquisitions. And that is to detect when the merger, a merger is when you are going to put together two companies, is on risk or getting failure. And that's because what is happening with the leaders or the CEOs who are managing the merger. The kind of artificial intelligence that I use is called sentiment analysis. And for that, I use a lot of analysis of the information, of the communications, of the emails, of the documents that are exchanged during the merger and acquisition. What happens usually with the leaders is that they take, from the psychology point of view, is that they take decisions based on cognitive biases. A cognitive bias is a mental trap. That means that you want to believe something just because it is easy to believe, and you don't have to spend energy on analyzing something else. For example, a common bias, and that's what we are going to see very often with artificial intelligence, is a cognitive bias where you want to believe all the information without questioning and trying to search for information that contradicts your belief. For example, if most of the audience here believe that artificial intelligence is useful, they are going to believe just that and avoid any evidence that contradicts that. So that happens also with mergers. That happens also with businesses. Leaders have a tendency to believe whatever is fitting what they want to believe. So what I do as a consultant, I use all the information, not only the legal documents, but also the communications between managers, CEOs, CFOs, or whatever, and I analyze what kind of belief they are exchanging. So we detect if they are taking decisions through a cognitive bias and what information they are missing. And as a human intelligence, what I do is that I recognize where is a cognitive bias, when we as lawyers should interfere and help them to take a different direction. So coming back to this, and in relation to this topic, Alejandro, you were talking about trust. So from your perspective, what is the biggest issue between artificial intelligence and trust?
I think here it's the lack of transparency. You don't know who put the data in, which intention, what's the quality of the data. For me, it's a black box. No, so that's a trust killer in my case. No, and if it's not plausible, I mean, you have to know, you have to control it. You have to, in order to analyze it and to take a decision, you have to see a key. It's like cooking. You know, if you have bad ingredients, the recipe can be very good, but the output will be bad, you know, and that's the thing, no? But on the other hand, it can generate trust, like in this case of this AI property evaluation tool, just because, okay, yeah, they use actual information from the Grundbuchämter and real-time information. Might be true, but I cannot prove it if it's not the case, you know? So people say, okay, hey, it must be AI, it must be good, yeah? Mm.
Well, that is a very interesting point, because regarding artificial intelligence, and this is from psychological and neuroscientific evidence, we still don't know if the perceived outcomes are because they really exist. It's because we want to believe that artificial intelligence actually works, or because just we are not performing the research that is necessary to prove the results of artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. So that is a topic.
Yeah, we had a discussion in one of the first Fridays. I think, Olivia, you were there and you brought the point. We had this topic of bias in artificial intelligence. And can you recall the case of the car makers?
Hi. No, so there's this one book, Invisible Woman. Maybe some of you know it. It's about data and women. And it just is so eye-opening because a lot of data that is used is measured on men, right? Like medicine. Because as you know, women go through a hormonal cycle, so we are every day different. And of course, men have every day the same cycle. So even business is actually adjusted to men, on a side note. So it's easier, of course, to do this data project on men. And most medicine is really dosed in a way that it's good for men. So side effects are different for women and they are not measured. Same a long time, it changed now, but even cars, right? The airbag and all of these car seat height was always measured on men. So a lot of accidents happened and women died because they were smaller or have a different body size. Same even phones are usually quite big, or all the tech gadgets measured on male hands, right? I could go on. She mentioned a lot of examples. Even the temperature in offices is measured on men. So usually women always feel colder in offices. Same parking, right? Or lightning on the street is not really. So there are a lot of examples, and this is the problem with data and AI. If we ask ChatGPT or any tool, we don't know which data, as Alejandro said, right? So maybe it's all data from white men, right? And it's not very diverse. So it's always very important to know where the data is coming from and to reflect and critically. And I know that luckily, a lot of even femtech startups started to really do research on the woman body to create products based for women. So it's there, but it's still small. So yeah.
Thank you, Olivia. Nice to see you again. So, Ilse, taking into account what Alejandro just mentioned about trust, we were talking before the session that one of your biggest concerns is in the ethics for using artificial intelligence. What can you share with us about ethics?
Yes, thank you very much. So there has been pointed out some of the risks and some of the biases as well that we can have with this type of tools. In regards of the ethics, I do also believe, and you mentioned that also in the presentation, that there must be also the human values, yeah? So that's why in the practice or coaching practice that I do, We also do a lot of internal reflection on those values. Why that? Because it's about the human connection. Yeah, the tool, the AI, it could be another tool maybe in the next 2 years. Yeah, so the technology will follow. But first, you need to know yourself from within, and then the technology will follow the beat of your heart. So how are we applying these technologies? For which purposes? Are we aware of our own human values, each and everybody of us? Yeah, and basically this is the message that I want also to give to you. It's about the AI is just, let's say, the mirror, it's just a facade. Yeah, but it's about how you use that technology and how you connect it with the human values that you have, and technology will follow.
Very well. So in other words, what you are telling us is that we also need to consider what is the context of using and applying that artificial intelligence, because we cannot use it, as Olivia pointed out, in the same way for absolutely everybody, all the time, everywhere, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we need to be very, very smart, let's say, in that sense. And again, I might repeat myself, but it's really about that human connection, that human intelligence, as you're telling, yeah, and how we apply that.
I want to share a case with you. It's very quickly. One of the analyses that we are doing with artificial intelligence on the consulting is how to detect narcissists and integrated psychopaths at CEOs and leaders inside of organizations. But the problem with this is that all the data that we are getting about these profiles precisely has been developed according with male profiles. There is no a psychological measure or a specific test that can tell you which women are integrated psychopaths or narcissists. So, and that is a danger, a problem, because there is a tendency to believe that narcissism is predominant on males. No. However, the problem is that true, or it's just that we have not measured correctly what is happening in female subjects? And what is even worse is that we are using that data supposedly with artificial intelligence. So at the end of the day, we are not analyzing anything really intelligent. We need to come back to the roots. So coming back to you, David, and in terms of trust and ethics, have you noticed any problem regarding the use of artificial intelligence and cultural difference on translating to another language?
I think the way in which the translation happens is very technical, depending on what you ask it, and it usually takes context without you mentioning it, based on what it knows about you. So my conversations, for example, with ChatGPT, it's weird to call it conversations, but yeah, let's call it that. Because of how much input it has about me, it knows I'm from Mexico. So whatever I ask it to translate, it will translate it in Spanish that sounds like a Spanish written by someone from Mexico. So it gets so deep into that. We have mostly users from like our users who have their native language in Portuguese. 90% of them are from Brazil, because it's just a bigger market than Portugal. So whenever I ask it to translate for the app, it automatically goes to the Brazilian Portuguese without me even asking that, or without me putting that as a reference, just because it kind of already knows because of what it's doing. So yeah, it becomes kind of an existential question. Was that the right thing to do? Like, I guess technically it is, but then why wouldn't it ask me first? For me, it's better if it doesn't ask me because it's just faster. but at some point it can get into the position like, okay, but then it will never ever teach anyone Portuguese from Portugal just because it started doing Brazilian from the beginning, right? So I know that, and if we don't have it in the app, so if you learn Portuguese with my app, it's going to be Portuguese from Brazil, at least now. Eventually we will have different accents. But when I get to that point, I will have to ask it to ask me every time it wants a translation. But for now, we just work like that. So it definitely just based on what it knows as a context, which goes back to what you were saying. Like it's just been fed data. It takes that information and it creates a response based on that. But it doesn't really know that that is part of a much bigger context in which that could be right or wrong, depending on who you ask.
Okay, so we could say that at the end of the day, artificial intelligence only really works for the purpose if there is a human intelligence who reviews and certifies that the output is what is needed, right? Because, for example, in the case of languages, and specifically in Spanish, in Mexican Spanish, whoever is from Mexico knows that gorra is some kind of hat that we use. But gorra in Colombia, and I know that there is someone here from Colombia, means absolutely something different. And if we write that in, let's say, an executive email, it could get us into a really big problem. Good. So is there something that you would like to add, or anybody from the audience has any questions so far?
Hi. Well, first of all, thank to the four of you for taking the time of having this discussion in front of us. And the question I want to ask is something I have been wondering for a long, long time. And it has to do with all the points that you say, like, okay, this AI is, let's say, taking the Brazilian Portuguese, or it's doing tests just of men, and et cetera, et cetera. So my question is, who or whom should have the power to feed what's real to the AI?
Okay. So this is one of the biggest risks, I would say, how to, let's say, feed the system that it is neutral, yeah, without bias. There's an example also in the past. I think Amazon was one of the first companies that started actually doing recruiting, AI-based. And at some point, they noticed, okay, the perfect candidate or the ideal candidate based on that AI at the moment, it was just long before ChatGPT. They noticed, okay, it's male, it's an engineer. Why that? Because the number of applicants were mostly on that profile. So at some point, at least an HR team decided, okay, not to pursue further that approach because of all the information that was fed to the system that was just making it just very tendentious to one profile specifically. So there are, let's say, regulations, and at least here in Europe, we have the EU AI Act, which tries actually to make it more neutral. But this is one of the biggest concerns with this technology.
And just to add a point to this answer, it is at the end of the day, who is going to take the decision of what to do? It must be a human, and it must be taken into account the context, or for what are you using the artificial intelligence? Who is your final user, your final client, and what problem are you trying to solve? As you can see, we all, the four of us, use artificial intelligence for very different purposes. In some cases, it's in a more general way. In other cases, it's very specific, like coaching or for a major acquisition, maybe analyzing the profile of a specific investor, so on. So what should be always taken into account is that artificial intelligence is not making the decision. You should make it at the end of the day. The tool is just giving you the information, is helping you to process faster and with, in theory, greater accuracy. But it should not take the decision.
There's a question, but as well. And just to add as well, definitely this is also the 10 trends in regards of the competencies of humans. The critical thinking is one of them. So if you are in a position to where you have children maybe, or where you have minors that you take care of, just really start doing a lot of critical thinking activities, yeah, because this is something that's going to make the difference again.
Yeah, I can add to that, you know, Bono from U2 said once, the answers might be correct, but the questions might not. And, and for financial advisors or any advisor, or the white collar people, they say AI will kill that industry like the fabric workers in the 50s that were replaced by machines. Now we're going to lose our jobs and stuff like that. I would say no, because simply by the reason that any advisor in any special field you have, any niche, know the right questions, or at least the questions that your clients should ask themselves. And if you have no clue about the topic, you don't know the questions. Yeah? And I think that's the main role of an advisor in general out there. And the other topic is, in this regard, is the topic of accountability. You know, if something goes wrong, who's going to be blamed? Is it going to be blamed the programmer who programmed the AI, who fed the data information? So I think, just to make a concrete example here with the AI agent from the embassy, is a perfect approach, because you have the embassy or the Mexican government as an institution who at the end would be accountable for any outcome that comes out there. Yeah, and the same I think with any company out there that's using AI as an instrument. And I think it will like pre-digest maybe solutions, and we as humans then have options and choices where we can move on from that.
I have the mic. Just a question. Thank you so much for this amazing topic. I think you are doing it great. Congratulations. And I have a question. Do you think that in the future we're going to have a human department to review what the AI is giving us? I mean, that is a trend, that is a must, or do we take the responsibility to be accountable to validate the information we provide to our customers? Thank you.
The right question, answer for that is, it depends. Where are you applying the artificial intelligence? For what purpose? For whom? We cannot generalize, and that is, at the end of the day, I think that the main idea that we could share, we cannot generalize one solution for a global number of issues. It depends on the company. It's going to be a department who is going to review, probably, but what department and where is applying the tool, the artificial intelligence. For example, if you go to value change of a company and you have artificial intelligence in human resources, you have it on accounting and you have it on the legal department, is each department going to have an area who is going to review? Or what could happen is that you are going to have your seniors who can validate the outcome of the artificial intelligence. Do you have a different opinion? We were talking about something about employers, employees, and labor.
Yeah, I mean that. I think that's the right angle. No, there's many cases in which it's perfect to not have anyone check, just because you know their answer will be right. You don't have a human check your calculator after you press the equal sign. You just know it's right. So in many cases it will be right. But there are cases, and that's where we have to be smart about deciding, and companies have to be built now around this technology, so that it is known that the information comes. It's good for giving advice, but then at the end, you want to be able to check before making a decision. Like even for very exact things like coding, our developers definitely use AI for coding, which is great. It makes them faster, it makes them more effective. But in the end, if whatever you coded through AI or by yourself is wrong, it's the responsibility of whoever put that into the repository, or whoever coded that, to make sure that it's correct. So we wouldn't, we as a company wouldn't allow just AI to code something and then that immediately goes to our millions of users. So there's definitely still the process where we have to check. So yeah, I think it depends is the right answer.
So we have time for one more question, and then we are going to close.
Well, thank you very much to the four of you. It's actually very interesting to hear your thoughts, and it quite resonates with me and the phase I am of the development of my business as well. I'm in the very initial phase of the building of my business, and I guess I don't have a question, but more a comment, which I would like to maybe hear your thoughts if you have, and it is that on the point of what you were saying, Alejandro, that you feel like you come to a point where you say something like you crash through a wall, or like you cannot go further. And I have very often this feeling, mostly with ChatGPT, which is what I'm using the most to formulate my ideas and to give some kind of form to what it is that I need to, for my business plans, for example. And using the free plan of ChatGPT, I come to this point almost every day. But I also see this as an opportunity for me, also even bias, to understand and keep it clear that it is my job, not ChatGPT's or AI, to do whatever it is that I'm doing. So I think for me, this is helping. Also being very careful with the use that I give to this tool, in order to remember what you were saying, Ilse, what it is that is my essence. And then first I have very clear who I am, and then I use ChatGPT to give me a clear path, mostly when you are doing such a job that you are in the very initial part of something, and you see the big wall that you have in front of you. You don't even know where to start, right? So it's quite overwhelming. And for that reason, AI is helping me to guide me through this everyday's work. But yeah, I think this is something I want to keep present to whatever is the phase that I am on my business or my professional life. Not to forget that I am the one who's doing the job, not artificial intelligence, right? And if I am the one who's doing the job, and the most people that use this will help to change the bias, to create maybe not a neutral way of looking at it, because I don't believe there is such a neutral way of looking at things. Everyone is different, and everyone will give a different perspective of things. And it's quite utopic to think that we will come to this point. So yeah, that would be my comment. I don't know if you have thoughts on it.
Thank you for mentioning this. And I would like to ask one question to hear the audience. Who of you are solopreneurs? Just raise your hand to see. Perfect. Thank you. And why am I asking this? Just as you mentioned, it's important that we know as persons, as humans, what is it, what we resonate, what is our essence, you mentioned, right? So why that? Because AI, at the end of the day, is a mirror, not a mask. It's a mirror of your own set of values. It's a mirror of your essence. It's a mirror of whatever you believe as founder. Yeah, and it's your heartbeat that you bring to the AI. Let's say it's a mirror, not a mask. And then your essence will lead your startup. Yeah, and the technology will only follow. Yeah, you will have kind of somebody who can be your sparring partner, like the AI could be your sparring partner in those areas that maybe you're not seeing. But at the end of the day, your essence is the one that needs to lead, and technology only follows.
Would you like to share your last comment with us?
That one. Yes, no, definitely. What makes us human? Think for yourself tonight. Yeah, when you go back home or on the way home, actually, think for yourself. What are those set of values of yours? What is your essence as a founder? Yes, and then when you're clear about that, you can use the technology, this one or another, the next one that's coming. But it's just be clear about your own human values. Think about empathy as well. Think about critical thinking, which we were talking about. Yeah, the technologies will only follow. Be human.
Alejandro?
Okay, what I learned is that by using this machine, you get bias very, very quickly in that silo thinking, because you're feeding the system with your own beliefs and it's reinforcing. And we have that phenomena in the social media. That's why we have so much polarization. Everybody is in their own information bubble. And I think that's problematic. And therefore, I think it's even more important now to have not only the critical thinking, gesunder Menschenverstand, but also have analog groups like First Friday, yeah, where you can share your ideas and then you get feedback from real people who has a different background, cultural, a different profession, maybe a different, I think that's what we call the Medici effect. And maybe in that combination with this AI tool and a diversity in our networks, we can remain humans, yeah, and yeah, and prosper to the next level.
Thank you, Alejandro. David?
Yeah, I think maybe in the end, to get more into the topic of entrepreneurship and AI, which is I think what a lot of you are here for. I think it's very, very clear that the way in which people will be able to start their own businesses or to grow their businesses, the ones who have it already big enough, it's definitely changing in a good way. I think the new limits or the new reasons why a company would be successful or not is going to narrow down to how good the idea is and not how fast the entrepreneur was able to build it, because the building part is becoming very it's becoming blurrier, it's becoming easier also in many ways. I have been approached many times, I guess many of you as well, about, hey, I have an idea of an app, what do you think I should do, or can you help me build it? And of course I never have time, but some of them were very good ideas, and a lot of these ideas never end up being built. I think we're very close to a future where all these ideas will be built, and then some of them will be successful and some won't, but they will be successful or not because of the quality of the way that it's built. Hopefully that will be always good, at least the minimum viable product, the MVPs, but it will definitely make sure that just the good ideas bubble up and end up being successful. So keeping that in mind is that I believe that we can start working on better ideas, and then those will be the ones who evolve.
Thank you so much. And to finish this session, all what I would like to share with you is just take into account that right now there is someone from finance, someone from coaching, someone from languages, me from law or wherever. Artificial intelligence was produced or was created by people who had also a number of knowledge, a number of information like we have right now. So it is not possible, or it would not be healthy to believe that just one tool is going to change the entire collaboration and approach that a team could give you. For example, right now, with a number of disciplines. And with that, I just want to thank to the Mexican Embassy once again, and to everybody for listening to us.
And also feel free to connect. So the QR codes are probably linked to our LinkedIn profile. So feel free to connect, and we will be very glad to continue the conversation online, offline. Thank you so much. Analog, yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for this amazing panel. Thank you for you all being here on Friday. And thank you, Alejandro. Thank you, Ilse. Thank you, Iliana. Thank you, David. And of course, Begoña de la Marta, por supuesto, to all of you. And my colleagues, Yvette, Rike, Adriana, Ceci, and all the colleagues who are behind. And of course, Sandra, who are helping us to make this possible. Thank you so much for being here. You can continue the network afterwards. We will see us around. Thank you.